What is up, YouTube? It's Josh. This is the Den of Nerds. This video is all about that picture of the Justice League that's been going around. I'm going to break it down, tell you what's cool, and which one is my favorite. So let's get right into it. So let's start with Batman. Now, this looks very similar to the picture that they posted last year. I think they're calling this some kind of a tech or utility suit. The big complaint when the first thing came out was that it looked a little too much like Owlman from Watchmen, which of course was another Zack Snyder film. And for whatever reason, I'm not entirely sure why, but this one looks a little bit less like Owlman, which I am super pumped about. Maybe it's possible that they toned down the goggles a bit. Perhaps they brought out the shoulders, shrunk the ears, did something. I'm not entirely sure, but it looks a lot less like Owlman, which is super cool. I mean, it's obviously, got the nice armor plates on there. If they're going to be battling parademons, Batman more or less needs to be able to kick a lot of ass. So it looks like this is a really good fit for him, and I'm a big fan. Now let's go to Cyborg. This one is probably the most interesting one to me. It really looks super similar to that weird science fiction-y scene that's in Batman v Superman where the mother box binds itself to Cyborg's body. I mean, it really looks like they've given it a lot of empty space, which is an interesting design choice, but it more or less reminds us constantly that he has very little of his human body left. A lot of the designs in comic books or in the animated series kind of have him shown as a full-bodied kind of really human in design. This one is very eerie. It's a constant reminder of his lack of humanity, like a literal lack of humanity. And I think that it looks really cool and interesting. Now, it's all CG, so there's going to be a lot of moving parts on here. I think that the intricacies of the suit are going to really shine on the big screen. So that is a really interesting design for me. I'm kind of interested to see if they do any kind of shifting, building, morphing, or any kind of changing to the suit itself. I mean, in the most recent iterations of Cyborg in the comic books, he's really able to do some interesting things and change his body almost the way you think of Venom symbiote suits or symbiote suits from Marvel Comics. So if they can pull that off, that would be really cool. Now let's go to Wonder Woman. Now the first thing that pops out to me is just the colors. I mean, it looks really bright. It looks cool. She looks ready to go. There is something weird going on with her face. I don't know if they just kind of Photoshop changed, overdid it a little bit, but her face looks a little bit weird. But overall, I mean, she looks badass. Notice the height of her compared to the other members of the Justice League. I mean, she's an Amazonian, that's pretty cool stuff. She looks strong. She looks ready for battle, but really not a lot to say here. We've seen this before. It looks pretty similar. The colors are cool, but other than that, it's pretty standard. Now, let's go to the Flash. Once again, pretty standard look here. I mean, we've seen probably the Flash suit more than most any of these other suits. It looks as though this is the version of the suit that gets a little bit of tweaking from Bruce Wayne, which is kind of cool. But I mean, other than that, not really too much to tell here. The bright colors, obviously, very poppy, pretty slim to the body, which is cool. But really not a lot to say here, but it is kind of a cool look at that suit that we're all starting to get accustomed to. Very different, of course, than the Grant Gustin suit that we're used to if you watch the CW's Flash. So the last person up here is, of course, Aquaman. Now, I've heard a lot of different people say that they absolutely love this iteration of Aquaman, that they think that the suit is awesome. I have to be honest here, I'm not the biggest fan of it. It looks too goth, Dracula kind of thing for me. It's not a representation of what Aquaman is to me. However, I mean, as as an aesthetic goes for the palette that they've established in these movies, it looks pretty cool. But doesn't he almost kind of look a little out of place when compared to these other suits that are kind of poppy in color and things like that? So it'll be interesting to see how they address that, how he fits in with them, and perhaps he doesn't fit in at all. Maybe this is a really Atlantis thing, right? He's got the hip fashion down in Atlantis, and he's not worried about blending in with these surface dwellers because maybe they have social media under the sea and he needs to be trending or, you know, looking good in the fashions of the underworld. I don't know. That's, you know, obviously ridiculous speculation, but he looks a little out of place to me. But, you know, jacked and tightness, you know, of the suit. I just kind of wish there were a little bit more moving parts. I wish they would do a little bit more of what they did with the Batman suit on the Aquaman suit. Some plating I think would be kind of cool. Now, of course, he doesn't really need that because in order to resist the pressures of deep levels of the ocean, Aquaman's skin is like nearly impenetrable. So that's kind of cool. But yeah, that's basically, you know, the Justice League members. We still do not have a trailer. People are, you know, chomping at the bit to get a look at an actual trailer for this film. A lot of pressure is on DC films this year in general. I mean, if Wonder Woman is a failure and then Justice League is a failure, they legitimately cannot move forward as, you know, a collective cohesive unit. They can't move forward with any of these franchises. So it's really make or break at this moment. But I thought this was kind of a cool little piece of art, so I wanted to bring it to you, kind of speculate. As far as my favorite on here, I would definitely have to say Batman. I think that plating is dope. And then Cyborg. Cyborg comes in right after that. I'm really intrigued to see what they do with that Cyborg suit. Oh, and one last thing too. They are apparently in the Flying Fox, which is going to be this huge fortress that kind of flies around, much like the S.H.I.E.L.D. helicarrier. Obviously created by Bruce Wayne, but this is what they are getting out of, and it's important to note too, obviously no Superman. So this happens before Superman gets resurrected, which is not a spoiler. We all know Superman's coming back, so that is kind of cool to keep in mind as well. It looks like they're going to go to battle in the Flying Fox before Superman is resurrected and joins the team. Super duper cool stuff. So let me know in the comment section, like, what do you think of these images? What is your favorite? Did you pick something out that perhaps I missed? Please let me know. More than willing to be educated by you guys. Okay, so let's check that nerd card really quickly. The question is going to be about the Justice League film, and the question is, who is the villain of this film going to be, and what is his relationship to Darkseid? Darkseid, of course, is the big bad that we're heading towards, but he's actually not the main villain of the Justice League. It is someone else who actually showcased in a deleted scene of Batman v Superman. And if that sounds really weird and wacky, that's because it is. Answer that question in the comments section below. Like the video if you thought it was dope, and subscribe to the channel to get more nerdy content like that. I hope you're having an awesome and nerdy day. See ya!